In this video, I'm going to share the 3 vital Google Analytics reports we use to optimize our campaigns on every paid traffic network and maximize our profit. More on that right after this. Hey there, and welcome to another AdSkills tutorial. My name is John Belcher. I'm the teacher here at AdSkills. And in this video, we'll be talking about the 3 reports we use to maximize our profit with paid traffic across every ad network. So what's really important to know in this video is these 3 reports are built to help you improve your profit. Your scale will come later. Right now, it's about making sure that things are profitable and you're continuing to build your campaigns so you're generating more cash flow and confidence for your business. We really want to make sure that your profit is dialed in before you scale because it's hard to go the other way. And then finally, this works for all ad networks. So it doesn't matter which ad network you're utilizing. You want to make sure you come in and you check in these reports. You really want to make sure that you come in and understand the factors that are affecting conversion inside of your funnel. And that's what these reports are built to do. So here's what we're going to cover in this video. First, we're going to talk about what these reports are in very plain English. I want to make sure you understand exactly why we're doing this. Second, we're going to talk about why it's important. Third, we're going to talk about the required steps to set them up, get the data and evaluate it. And then finally, we'll go through a few advanced tactics. So let's dive in. So I just want to cover quickly what traffic analysis is. When we look at traffic, even inside of a single campaign on a single ad network, we know that not all traffic is created equal. So let's say you want to target men between the ages of 25 and 34 who like hair care products. You may get these 3 types of guys here that you see on the screen. Each one of them is a similar age with a similar hairstyle, but not all of them is going to be as likely to buy the product based on their preferences. So even though it was, guys who like beards or they like hair gel, whatever it is, they're not likely to, not all 3 of them have equal likelihood to buy your product. So what we want to do is go through and isolate them in any way that we can and figure out which details about them are likely to impact positively or negatively conversion. And then we're going to eliminate the negative characteristics to get to that profitable point. So what we want to do here is isolate, analyze. I think this rock is a great example to demonstrate what we're doing. We're taking, rather than having one big rock, we're isolating people into layers. So rather than looking just at Facebook traffic from this particular campaign, we're able to segment out the layers and say, let's look at the common characteristics that people share when it comes to these buckets, and we're going to compare them with the performance. So let's say, how does age, if you're 18 to 24, 25 to 34, 35 to 44, impact the chance that you purchase something or you opt in as a lead? That's what we really care about. We'll cut the losers and we'll keep the winners. So we'll use Google Analytics to do this. It's an amazing tool. It automatically buckets your traffic and it will help you compare to your conversions as long as you've set them up. So the other thing you can do is provide some great ideas for scaling. I use this a lot with AdWords, YouTube, and GDN to give you some ideas for how you can go through and expand your targeting to scale up. I talk about that in our Google Ads pathway. So if you want to learn about that, go check that out there. The way that Google Analytics does this is it's going to put people into different buckets. The 3 reports that we're going to look at are location. So it's going to look at your IP address and figure out which country, state, city are you in, and we can look and see which of those is impacting conversion the most positive and most negative. Age and gender, it's going to look at the information you've provided in your Google profile, plus your online behavior. So 18 to 24-year-olds probably aren't looking for life insurance. So what Google does, it looks at some of your actions. It can tell, based on the content you consume over a long period of time, are you more likely male or female? And which age range do you typically fall into? Are you a parent or not a parent? Very simple things like that makes a really big difference. And then finally, the last report is devices, so your browser statistics. The size of your device, so is it mobile, tablet, desktop? Which operating system are you on, Android, iOS? What is the browser? Are you on Chrome or Safari? Things like that. So this is really what we're trying to do, is go through and segment all these pieces out. In the next section, we'll talk about why this is so important to you in order to maximize the profit of your paid traffic campaigns. So when I talk about what this stuff is important, I'm not talking about it's because you want to make a profit. Everyone wants that. I'm talking about why it's important for you to make time to go through and do these things, because I know there's a million things that are competing for your time. I really want to make sure that you understand why this is so important. So at the most basic level, amateurs think that profit just happens. You turn on the traffic, your funnel's working, and things just go. That's not how it usually works. Pros know that you have to earn profit. You have to go through and optimize your campaigns, optimize your funnel, tweak things, tear them down, build them back up. Optimization is the key, and optimization happens through analysis, looking at the numbers first, making data-based decisions, and then taking action. So why you have to make this a habit? If you want to profit, you have to optimize. Even if you don't like the data, you need to find someone who does. So understanding that you've got your data set up correctly to get all of this clean information that you can go through and make decisions based on, this is an absolutely vital task. So how we're going to help you do this, we're going to introduce you to our go-to reports. We're going to teach you how to view them, and then we're going to talk about some advanced tactics. I'm also going to point out, if you don't have some of the basic things in place, you need to go back and get those in place in order to be able to do this. So let's roll into the required steps so you can actually start doing this stuff. So let's talk about the absolute cannot skip steps. So there's 3 for this particular exercise. First, you have to turn on your Google Analytics advertising features. Second, you need to have implemented Google Analytics goals or e-commerce tracking. And finally, you need to analyze your performance reports using the process I'll teach you. So step 1 is turning on the Google Analytics advertising features. A very simple thing to do. It's just the flip of a switch. You'll want to make sure you disclose this in your privacy policy. There's a lot of language out there, and I really recommend consulting with a lawyer. When it comes to just talking about you're using an analytics tool to monitor and optimize your campaign performance, it's pretty common language, but as we've just gone through the GDPR update, it's really, really important to make sure you're disclosing those things, that people can opt in for consent so you can get this type of information. This advertising features allows you to do 2 things. It allows you to use the demographic information, so the age, the gender, and then the interest targeting that I talked about earlier, as a report. And then also you can actually use these segments inside of Google Analytics to export them to AdWords and retarget. Different topic for a different video, but really powerful stuff. So let's head over to Google Analytics and I will show you how to turn on the advertising features. All right, so we are inside of the Google Analytics demo account. This is Google's store. Where they sell all their online products, and they make this available for people to go through and kind of see how Google Analytics works with real data. And so what we're going to do is come in and turn on our Google Analytics advertising reports. What you'll do is you'll come in here down to the lower left-hand corner, click on the admin wheel, and then you're going to come up, you'll see the 3 columns. What we want is the middle column, tracking info, and then data collection. And so what we want to turn on here, remarketing and advertising reporting features, we want to have these both turned on. If you turn on remarketing, it will turn on the advertising reporting features automatically. But it's really important. This is where you're going to get all of the information about your users. You can click here to learn more about the audience demographics and interest reporting to kind of see how all this works. Once again, just make sure that you include this in your privacy policy, that you're utilizing a tool to analyze this information. With the consent rules the way that they are, it's really important that people understand that you're utilizing a tool to understand factors about them to improve your campaign performance. You're not spying on them. You can't tell the exact person who it is and all these details about them. It's all based on cookies. But once again, very important to have inside of your privacy policy. So once you turn that on, you click done and you'll be ready. You'll actually be able to gather this information. If you're just turning it on right now, you'll probably need to wait 7 to 10 days to actually be able to see anything. I would consider waiting a full month to get all of that data to be able to start using it. But once you start to collect it, you'll be able to see the information in relation to your conversions and actually make decisions based off of it. So let's head back to the tutorial and we'll talk about step number 2. All right, so now that you've got your advertising features on, the second thing you need to do is go through and implement Google Analytics goals or your e-commerce tracking. So what this allows you to do, basically when we talk about measurement, you have to have, there's 3 components to be able to measure something: a point A, a point B, and a way to measure in between. So what we're doing is we're adding the point B. So is the goal the thank you, someone hits the thank you page of an opt-in or they buy a product. It allows you to have that comparison point. And then what we're going to do is take all of those different factors that we're using inside of our analysis and comparing them in relation to that point to see how the conversion rate differs, which ones we should cut, and which ones we should keep. So if you don't know how to set up Google Analytics goals or e-commerce tracking, you'll want to check out Tracking 101 Analytics Explained. It'll teach you how to set up goals and e-commerce tracking inside of Google Analytics, how to use UTM tracking, and then it'll also cover very important stuff, what we call Frankenstein websites. So if you're using third-party tools like ClickFunnels or Lead Pages or Shopify, Eventbrite, things like that, even though you can put it as a subdomain on your site, it doesn't always pass your cookies correctly, and that's really, really important to being able to track the performance of everything. So this is a pay what you want course. You can pay whatever you want for it. We just want to make sure you get your tracking set up correctly. So check the link in the description below, and I've got a link to that. The final step in your reporting process is to analyze your performance reports. So you want to look at your different buckets, see which factors matter, cut the losers, and keep the winners. So the 3 reports that we use the most are the age and gender reports, the technology, we're going to look at the device type and the operating system, and then finally the geography, we're going to look at location and language in comparison to our conversion rates, and we'll go through and make decisions based off that. So let's head over to Google Analytics. I'll show you where to find these reports and how to read them. All right, so we're back inside of the Google Analytics demo account, and what we're going to do is go through the actual reports to optimize our campaigns. So what you're looking for is over here on the left side, you see this audience menu. You want to click on that, And what you'll be able to do is you want to first, what we're going to look at is the demographics. So if I click on this, we're going to look at age first. And what I'm comparing things in relation to, so our point B when we're measuring is e-commerce. This is actual sales. Now you also have the ability to come in, you can put in goals and see how these differ. The purchase complete should be very similar to the transactions. So the e-commerce, you could look at registrations, you could look at things like this. Whatever goals you built inside your account, you have the ability to view this information in relation to it. So I'm gonna go back to e-commerce since this is sales. And what I would do right now is I would just walk through this report. So it's got our age range. I would want this to be smallest to least, I guess, least to greatest. So it's 18 to 24 all the way up to 65 plus. And I want to look at it and say the number of transactions, our revenue, and then the conversion rate. The conversion rate is what's really important to me. So if I look at this, we go from 1.47% is the lowest of 65 plus, all the way up to 9.75, which is 35 to 44-year-olds. So this would be very clear to me that I would want to focus my time and effort on the 5.6 to the 9.75. So it'd be these three age groups for our campaigns. So I'd be running campaigns pretty much 25 to 54 is where I would want to spend the bulk of my time. I would cut out the other ones. There's just not enough people taking action. So that's how I would look at it for age. Then I would go to gender and see how it differs male versus female. Looks like males are almost twice as likely to buy over the course of the last week. You want to make sure that you're going to change this date range. I would probably do it from the beginning of the year through now, and we'll see how this changes. So it's not that much of a difference. It's definitely a lot closer. So that way I wouldn't say, yeah, there's a lot more revenue coming from males. So we can create campaigns knowing that if we focus on males, we're probably likely to get about double the amount of volume, but the conversion rate's not much different. So it makes sense to target both. So if I actually go back to the age, we'll look at this now, look at it the same way and see if I made a bad decision. 1.32, 1.28, still looks like we're good with kind of these middle, these three are still the right ones to target. So we'll go through and look at it from that view. So that's demographics. Then what you can do is come into geography. Language you can do if you're targeting multiple countries. If you're just doing the US, you can skip this, or if you're just targeting one country. From the location perspective, so you can come in, you can look at it from the country level. As we can see here, the vast majority of transactions are coming from the US. So I want to look at it on the state level and say, if I'm trying to get profitable, obviously most of my sales are coming from California, then New York, Texas, Washington, Illinois, Florida, etc. What I like to do is I like to get to what I call my 80-20 rule of campaigns. If I can get to it, I would like to build campaigns that focus on the top 10 geographies to begin with, to figure out if we can make that profitable. So I'll take it, and you know, since there's 50 states, I want to look at the top 20%. So that would be 10 states that we can target, go after those key geographies, and then if they're working, then we can scale out to the entire country. That's kind of how I go through and do that. You have the ability to go down to the city level. In most cases, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense unless you are looking at a very specific, if you're only covering, let's say it's LA and you want to target specific little niches inside of LA, you can definitely go through and do that. I do more national campaigns, so I'll focus on the state level. So the last report you'll look at, if you come down to mobile, you'll click on overview, and this will show you the split desktop, mobile, tablet. We can see here that desktop, the conversion rate is by far the highest. Mobile and tablet are far lower and responsible for far less revenue, so we would probably make sure that our campaigns focus on desktop. We could use mobile or tablet to drive first interactions and then retarget with desktop, but it's definitely good to see that the conversion rate is 7 times higher. I mean, that's a big deal. So it definitely makes sense to say if we go from a desktop campaign, we can drive a lot more sales through here. The other thing, when you click on devices, you can look here at iPhone, Pixel 2, etc. We can see that the majority of our transactions are coming from iPhones. So maybe targeting iPhones, Pixel 2s, iPads, and Pixels. That's probably where the bulk of our transactions are coming from. But once again, these are just mobile devices. So if we did this, if we were looking for, the other thing you can do is you click on technology, you can look at browser and OS. And so this is Google Chrome, your operating system being Android or Safari, your operating system being Android or iOS, things like that. So browser, it's going to show the vast majority of our transactions are coming from Chrome. If we go to operating system, we can see Android, iOS, etc. The split. So Windows, Macintosh, Android, iOS, Linux, Chrome OS. So we have a great opportunity to go through and look at these things. These are very detailed specifics that you probably don't need to get into, but it's just kind of nice to know all the information that's available in here. So once again, age, demographic, best place to begin, then location, and then finally looking at your device targeting. So Is there a particular platform, whether it be mobile, desktop, tablet, that's working really well or way underperforming? And then if you want to get into the specifics of iOS versus Android, you now know where that information is. So hopefully this has helped you see kind of the way you can go through and identify those different strata, if you will, of the rock. This is your layers of traffic and how they're affecting conversion rate. Now you can make choices of keep the winners, cut the losers, and try and get to that profitable stage. So now that you've seen the reports, I just want to remind you on how you're actually going to use them. First, you're going to go through into your campaigns, taking the information you've got. You're going to eliminate the clear losers. You can't get to profit if you've got those losers dragging your campaigns down. What you're going to do with the remaining factors is isolate them inside of their own ad groups or their own campaigns and test them. What you want to do is stress test them with more budget to see if those factors are holding true, that they really are good performers, or if you just haven't had enough budget in there yet. You can start to say, hey, this is really not a good performer. We just didn't have enough budget earlier. Let's go through and eliminate this. So that's kind of what we're trying to do with those reports. So these reports will absolutely help you go through and optimize your campaigns right away. But the problem with them, and I put problem in air quotes, is that you're evaluating all of the users on your website. I want to show you a couple advanced tactics to really hone in on certain segments to evaluate their performance so you can get more key information based on those individuals. So I'll dive into that in the advanced tactics. So there's a ton of advanced things you can do with Google Analytics to go through and segment your traffic. Right now, I'm just going to show you one. I want to keep it pretty plain and simple. So what we're going to do is, if you're using UTM tracking sources, you have the ability to go through and isolate your traffic based on the UTM parameters that someone came to your site. So this allows you to go through and segment Facebook traffic, Twitter traffic, AdWords, YouTube, GDN, all those different pieces, and see how the performance of those different layers works from each ad platform. Because you may see Twitter is producing people who are 35 to 44 that are converting really high, but on Facebook it's 25 to 34. And so that's really that piece that's important to go through and isolate, think about your traffic sources and figure out which is producing the best results and how they differ from one another as far as the makeup of your target audience. So if you're not using UTM tags for all of your marketing, you really should be. Make sure you check out Tracking 101 Analytics Explained. In there, I will teach you how to build goals and e-commerce events inside of Google Analytics, how to utilize UTM tracking, how to build a universal tracking plan, and then most importantly, how to fix your Frankenstein website. It's a pay what you want course. You can pay whatever you want for it. I just want to make sure you're doing tracking right. So make sure you go check it out. There's a link in the description below. So let's head over to Google Analytics and I will show you how to implement these segments inside of your analytics account. Okay, so we're back inside of our Google Analytics demo account. And as you can see here, we're looking at all users. So 100% of users, this is the information we're getting. So if I click on audience, we go to demographics, we look at our age report. This is for everybody. But let's say I want to look just at the Google CPC UTM tags. So I click, so once again, I click here on add segment, new segment. And then what I can do is I can come in here and call this Google CPC only traffic. And I like to change this to make sure I can apply edit in this view and not in any view. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and I'll click, you can do traffic sources. So you can do campaign contains and it'll pop up a list of campaigns. So run of network line item or something like that. Or you can come down to conditions and you can change this to source medium. And so our source medium should be Google CPC. So it'd be Google CPC. I can click preview and it'll show us that this is a portion of the entire traffic. So we'll see what this looks like inside of this account. It's 1.38% of users. And so this is the data. It's going to show us over this time frame. These are when our Google CPC ran. We can see here that the only two really converting campaigns were 25, 34, 35 to 44. So it exists there. That's where our revenue came from. And we've got the opportunity to segment like this. So you can go through and segment Facebook CPC, Twitter CPC, if you've got email autoresponder, email broadcast, however you've got it set up from the universal tracking perspective, you've got your UTMs implemented, you can come through and segment your campaigns this way, look at the data, and then go through and say, okay, well, Google CPC is doing a good job driving 25 to 44. Looked like there was an opportunity from 45 to 54. Maybe we should go through and use Facebook for that, or Twitter, or native ads. So that's kind of that ability to go through and spread out your campaigns to focus on different types of traffic. If you found this tutorial helpful and want to be notified whenever I put another one out, make sure you click the subscribe button on the screen right now. If you want to join more than 20,000 people who are subscribed to our daily newsletter to get cutting-edge paid traffic tips, make sure to text Daily Edge to 44222.